Before we dive into this story, leave a comment and let us know what city you're watching from. And don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10 at the end. The glass walls of Monroe Tech headquarters caught fire in the afternoon sun. Ethan Monroe stood at the head of the conference table, 36 years old and worth $3 billion. His Italian suit fit perfectly across his shoulders. His dark hair was styled with surgical precision. Everything about him screamed control. But today, control was slipping. The quarterly presentation dragged on. Numbers flickered across screens. Vice presidents shuffled through slides with nervous energy. Ethan gripped the table edge, feeling pressure bloom in his chest like a fist closing around his heart. Focus on the numbers. Close the deal. Power through it. His vision blurred. The pressure spread like wildfire down his left arm. One of his executives droned on about Asian market projections when Ethan's legs gave out beneath him. The pen clattered against mahogany. Every face turned. Ethan clutched his chest, eyes wide with shock. He tried to speak, to tell them he was fine, but his mouth wouldn't work. The room tilted sideways. He was falling. Someone screamed for help. Chairs scraped frantically across the floor. Then darkness swallowed everything. When consciousness crawled back, Ethan had no sense of time. Fluorescent lights burned his eyes. Monitors beeped steadily. Tubes and wires connected to his body. The antiseptic smell invaded his lungs. Everything felt heavy, like his body had turned to lead. "Mr. Monroe, can you hear me?" That voice cut through the fog in his mind. Female. Professional. Familiar. Ethan turned his head slowly toward the sound, and his heart stopped for reasons that had nothing to do with the attack. Standing beside his hospital bed, holding a medical chart and wearing a white coat with a stethoscope draped around her neck, was Emma Sullivan. The woman he had loved more than anything 3 years ago. The woman he had destroyed with his own cruelty and stupidity. Her honey-colored hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Minimal makeup made her natural beauty even more striking. Those emerald eyes that once looked at him with love now regarded him with cool professionalism. She had filled out slightly since he last saw her, her figure more womanly and confident. She looked successful, composed, and absolutely breathtaking. "Emma," Ethan croaked, his voice barely a whisper. "Dr. Sullivan," she corrected immediately, her tone firm but not unkind. "You suffered a severe myocardial infarction during your meeting. In simpler terms, you had a major heart attack. The paramedics brought you to St. Catherine Medical Center, and I performed the emergency procedure that saved your life. You're stable now, but you'll need to remain hospitalized for at least 10 days. Ethan stared at her, his mind reeling. Of all the doctors, all the hospitals in San Francisco, fate had brought him to her. The last time he had seen Emma, she had been crying on his doorstep, begging him to listen to her, to trust her. And he had slammed the door in her face after calling her terrible things. Believing the lies his business partner had planted in his head. "I need to talk to you," Ethan said, his voice stronger now despite the pain. "Please, Emma, I need to explain what happened." "There's nothing to explain, Mr. Monroe," Emma replied, checking the monitors beside his bed without looking at him. "What happened between us was 3 years ago. I'm your doctor now. That's all. Emma, please." She finally met his eyes, and what he saw there made his chest tighten worse than the heart attack had. Not anger. Not hatred. Just a cold, professional distance that cut deeper than any blade. "You need rest," she said quietly. "We'll discuss your treatment plan in the morning." She turned to leave, her white coat swishing behind her. "I was wrong," Ethan called out, desperation cracking his voice. "About everything. Marcus lied to me, Emma. He lied about you and David. There was nothing between you two. I know that now. I've known it for 2 years, but I couldn't find you. You disappeared. Emma stopped at the door, her back still to him. Her hand rested on the doorframe, knuckles white with tension. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. I didn't disappear, Ethan. You destroyed me so completely that I had to rebuild myself from nothing. And I did. Without you. She walked out without looking back, leaving Ethan alone with the steady beep of monitors and the crushing weight of his regrets. But as the door closed, Ethan saw something that gave him a sliver of hope. Emma's hand was shaking. 3 days crawled by like torture. Emma avoided Ethan's room as much as possible, sending other doctors to check on him. But hospital protocol demanded she review his case personally each evening. So she came when she thought he'd be sleeping, moving quietly through his room with her tablet, updating charts, checking vitals. She was wrong about him sleeping. You're earlier tonight, Ethan said from the darkness, making her jump. Emma steadied herself, refusing to show weakness. Your heart rate is elevated. You need rest. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face. The way you looked at me that last night. Mr. Monroe. Stop calling me that. Ethan sat up slightly, wincing at the movement. You called me Ethan for 2 years. You said my name when you loved me. Don't erase that. I'm erasing nothing, Emma said, her voice tight. I'm simply acknowledging reality. That person you knew doesn't exist anymore. Good, Ethan said quietly. Because the person I was doesn't deserve to exist. Emma's hands stilled on her tablet. She looked at him properly for the first time in days. He looked thinner, older. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. His always perfect hair was disheveled. He looked broken in a way that had nothing to do with his heart. Why? The word escaped before she could stop it. Why did you believe him so easily? Why didn't you trust me? Ethan closed his eyes. Marcus showed me pictures. You and David at that conference in Boston. Having dinner. Laughing. Going into his hotel room together. David was my colleague and friend. We were working on a research paper. I know that now. 2 years ago, I hired investigators. They found everything. The research paper. The publisher. The fact that 3 other colleagues were at that dinner, just outside the frame of the photos. David's wife joining you all for drinks afterward. Ethan's voice cracked. Marcus photoshopped the images. He manipulated the timestamps. He fed me lie after lie because he wanted my company. He thought if he destroyed my personal life, I'd be vulnerable. Distracted. Emma's breath caught. Did it work? Almost. He nearly took everything 6 months after you left. But I caught him embezzling right before he could execute a hostile takeover. He's in prison now. 20 years for fraud and embezzlement. Silence stretched between them, heavy with 3 years of pain. I looked for you, Ethan whispered. For 2 years, I searched everywhere. But you'd changed your name. Changed everything. I took my mother's maiden name, Emma said, her voice hollow. Sullivan instead of Chen. I had to. Your lawyers, your investigators, your money, they were everywhere. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't exist. So I became someone else. Emma, I am so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Ethan. Do you know what you did to me? I lost my position at Stanford Medical. Your lawyers threatened them with lawsuits if they kept me on staff. They said I was a liability, a scandal waiting to happen. I lost my apartment because suddenly I couldn't pay rent without my salary. I lost friends who didn't want to be associated with the woman who'd supposedly betrayed Ethan Monroe. Her voice rose despite her attempt at control. I slept in my car for 3 months while finishing my residency at a hospital 2 hours away. I worked 16-hour shifts and lived on vending machine food. I rebuilt my entire life from ash and rubble. And you want to say sorry? Ethan's face had gone pale. I didn't know. God, Emma, I didn't know it was that bad. You didn't want to know. You wanted to be right. You wanted to feel justified in your anger. You're right. I did. Ethan looked at her with raw honesty. I was a coward. I was scared of how much I loved you. Scared of being vulnerable. When Marcus gave me an excuse to push you away, I took it. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too afraid to trust it. Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. Your vitals are stable, she said, returning to her tablet. Dr. Reeves will take over your case starting tomorrow. I'm transferring you to another cardiologist. No. This isn't a negotiation. Emma, please. Ethan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. But don't run from me again. Let me see you. Even if it's just as your patient. Even if you hate me. Just don't disappear. Emma looked at him, and for a moment, her professional mask slipped. He saw the girl who used to make him coffee in the mornings. The woman who used to trace patterns on his chest while they talked about their dreams. The person he had loved and destroyed. You don't get to ask me for anything, she said softly. Not anymore. She walked toward the door, and this time she wouldn't have stopped. But Ethan's monitor started beeping frantically. Emma spun around. Ethan was clutching his chest, his face twisted in agony, his breathing rapid and shallow. Ethan. She was at his bedside in seconds, checking his vitals, calling for the crash cart. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but her heart was pounding in terror. Stay with me, she commanded, her voice breaking. Don't you dare die on me now. Ethan looked up at her through his pain, and he smiled weakly. Does this mean you still care? Shut up and breathe, Emma said, but her eyes were wet with tears she could no longer hold back. As the medical team rushed in and Emma worked to stabilize him, Ethan held on to one thought. She still cared. That meant there was still hope. Emma saved his life for the second time in a week. The episode had been a warning, not another full attack. But it was serious enough to keep Ethan under constant observation. Emma couldn't transfer his case now. Medical ethics wouldn't allow it. He was too unstable. So she stayed. And against every instinct of self-preservation, she started talking to him. It began small. Professional updates that stretched into longer conversations. Discussions about his recovery that drifted into memories. The walls she'd built so carefully started developing cracks. On the 7th day, Ethan was finally allowed to sit up properly. Emma brought him real food instead of hospital meals, Thai from the place they used to love. She told herself it was just good patient care. You remembered, Ethan said, looking at the container of pad Thai like it was a treasure. Don't read into it. Your recovery requires proper nutrition. But they both knew it meant something. Tell me about medical school, Ethan said between bites. You were in your first year of residency when we were together. You never got to finish at Stanford. Emma hesitated, then sat down in the chair beside his bed. I finished at County General. It was harder, longer hours, less prestige. But the doctors there taught me things Stanford never could. How to save lives with limited resources. How to care about patients, not just their insurance policies. You were always meant to be a doctor. Even when we were together, I saw how you lit up when you talked about saving lives. You used to listen to me talk for hours about cardiac surgery, Emma said, a small smile touching her lips. I thought you were just being polite. I loved watching you come alive. Your passion was contagious. The moment hung between them, fragile and dangerous. Emma stood abruptly. I should check your incision site. As she examined him, Ethan caught her wrist gently. Emma, I meant what I said. About being wrong. About everything. She pulled away, but not as quickly as before. 3 years ago, I would have given anything to hear you say that. And now? Now I don't know what I feel. Anger. Hurt. Confusion. And something else I'm afraid to name. Before Ethan could respond, the door burst open. A woman in designer clothes and expensive jewelry swept in, her eyes landing on Emma with immediate disdain. She was beautiful in a cold, calculated way. Sharp features. Platinum blonde hair. A smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ethan, darling, I came as soon as I heard. Emma recognized her immediately from tabloid photos. Victoria Sterling. Tech heiress. Ethan's most recent public girlfriend before the attack. Victoria, Ethan said, his voice carefully neutral. What are you doing here? What do you think? My fiancé had a heart attack. Of course I'm here. Victoria moved to his bedside, pointedly positioning herself between Ethan and Emma. The wedding planner has been calling. We'll need to postpone, obviously, but I told her we could reschedule for spring instead of winter. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Fiancé. Wedding. Ethan saw her expression and sat up quickly, ignoring the pain. Victoria, we're not engaged. We dated for 3 months. Casually. Darling, don't be modest. Victoria's laugh was like breaking glass. I know you wanted to keep it quiet until after the merger, but there's no need for secrets now. She turned to Emma with a smile that was pure venom. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Are you one of the nurses? Dr. Sullivan, Emma said coldly. I'm Mr. Monroe's cardiologist. And I need to examine my patient. Alone. Of course. I'll just wait outside. Victoria leaned down and kissed Ethan's cheek. Don't be long, darling. We have so much to discuss. As soon as the door closed, Ethan grabbed Emma's arm. She's lying. We went to 3 charity events together. That's it. I'm not engaged to her or anyone else. It doesn't matter, Emma said, but her voice shook. It does matter. Look at me, Emma. She did. And she saw something in his eyes that terrified her. Desperation. Need. Truth. I haven't been with anyone since you. Not seriously. Victoria is persistent, but we're not together. We were never together. Why should I believe you? You didn't believe me when it mattered. The words hit him like a physical blow. You're right. I didn't. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting that. But I'm asking you to be the bigger person. To give me the chance I didn't give you. Emma wanted to walk away. Wanted to protect herself from the inevitable pain. But something in his voice stopped her. One chance, she whispered. That's all you get. That's all I need. Emma left the room, her heart pounding. In the hallway, she nearly collided with Victoria, who was on her phone. I don't care what it costs, Victoria was saying. I need those medical records by tonight. Yes, Emma Sullivan. Everything from the past 3 years. If there's anything we can use against her, I want to know. Emma's blood ran cold. She stepped back into an alcove, listening. Ethan is worth $3 billion. Do you think I'm going to let some nobody doctor ruin this for me? She's clearly got her hooks in him. I saw the way he looked at her. Victoria's laugh was cruel. Find me something. Everyone has secrets. Emma's hands clenched into fists. This woman was trying to destroy her. Again. Just like Marcus had 3 years ago. But this time, Emma wasn't helpless. This time, she had the power. She walked out of the alcove directly into Victoria's line of sight. Victoria's face went pale, then recovered with practiced ease. "Dr. Sullivan. I was just discussing some concerns with hospital administration." "Really?" "Because it sounded like you were attempting to illegally obtain confidential medical records." "That's a federal crime, Ms. Sterling. HIPAA violations carry serious penalties." Victoria's perfect smile never wavered. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure the hospital's legal team will be very interested in reviewing security footage from this hallway." Emma stepped closer. "Stay away from Ethan. And stay away from me." "Or what? You'll run crying to him like you did 3 years ago?" Victoria's mask slipped, showing the vicious woman beneath. "You're nothing, Dr. Sullivan. Just a temporary inconvenience. Ethan Monroe belongs with someone of his own class. Someone who can match his wealth and power. If you really believe that, you wouldn't be so threatened by me." Emma walked away, her head held high. But inside, she was shaking. Because she had just realized something terrifying. She was falling for Ethan Monroe all over again. And this time, the cost of being wrong could destroy them both. Emma reported Victoria's attempted HIPAA violation to hospital security. The footage was damning. Victoria was banned from the hospital within hours. But she wasn't done yet. 2 days later, Emma was called into the chief of medicine's office. Dr. Patricia Chen sat behind her desk with a grim expression, a stack of papers between them. "Dr. Sullivan, we have a problem." Emma's stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "The Monroe Tech legal team has filed a formal complaint. They're claiming you have a conflict of interest with Mr. Monroe. That you had a previous personal relationship that you failed to disclose. They're demanding you be removed from his case immediately." "That's ridiculous. Ethan would never." "The complaint didn't come from Mr. Monroe. It came from Victoria Sterling, who claims to be his fiancée and medical proxy." Emma's hands clenched. "She's lying. They're not engaged. That's not for us to determine." "But Dr. Sullivan, is it true? Did you have a previous relationship with the patient?" Emma met her boss's eyes. "Yes. 3 years ago. It ended badly. But I've maintained complete professionalism. I saved his life. Twice." Dr. Chen sighed. "I believe you. But the optics are terrible. Monroe Tech is one of our biggest donors. If they pull their funding, we lose the entire cardiac wing. That's millions of dollars. Hundreds of jobs. So you're taking me off his case?" "I don't have a choice. I'm sorry." Emma walked out of that office feeling like she was drowning. She had fought so hard to build this life. To become someone who couldn't be destroyed by powerful men and their money. And here she was again. Being crushed under their wealth and influence. She went straight to Ethan's room. He was on his phone, looking agitated. When he saw her face, he immediately hung up. "Emma, what's wrong? Did you know Victoria filed a complaint against me?" "What? No. I've been trying to call my lawyers all morning to deal with her, but they're stonewalling me." "What did she do?" Emma told him everything. As she spoke, Ethan's face transformed from confusion to fury. That manipulative, he grabbed his phone. "I'm ending this right now." "Don't." Emma's voice was hollow. "It's already done. I've been removed from your case. Dr. Reeves will take over. Then I'm leaving. I'll discharge myself and go to a different hospital. One where you can treat me." "Ethan, no. You're not stable enough. You need another week of monitoring at minimum." "I don't care. I'm not letting her destroy you again." I won't be the reason you lose everything a second time. His words hit her like a fist to the chest. Because he was right. Being associated with him was toxic. It always had been. Maybe it's better this way, Emma said quietly. We keep falling into the same patterns. You, me, someone trying to tear us apart. Maybe the universe is telling us something. The universe can go to hell, Ethan said fiercely. I love you, Emma. I never stopped loving you. And I won't let anyone hurt you again. Not Victoria. Not my company. Not even me. Emma's breath caught. Ethan. I'm selling Monroe Tech. The words hung in the air like a bomb. What? I've been thinking about it since the heart attack. Life is too short to spend it building empires. I almost died, Emma. And the only thing I regretted was losing you. Ethan stood up, ignoring the monitors beeping in protest. I'll sell the company. Walk away from it all. The money, the power, the stress. We can go anywhere. Start over. Just you and me. You can't do that. Monroe Tech is your life's work. You were my life. Everything else was just noise. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Because I finally understand what matters. And it's not billion-dollar deals or corporate empires. It's this. You and me. The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. The way my heart beats faster every time you walk into a room. That's worth more than all the money in the world. Emma crossed the room and kissed him. It was desperate and furious and full of 3 years of pain and longing. Ethan pulled her close, his hands tangling in her hair, kissing her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. When they finally broke apart, they were both shaking. I love you too, Emma whispered. God help me, I never stopped loving you either. Then let me do this. Let me choose you this time. Emma wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe they could have a happy ending. But the door opened before she could respond. Dr. Reeves walked in, followed by 2 security guards and Dr. Chen. Dr. Sullivan, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, Dr. Chen said gently. The complaint has escalated. Monroe Tech is threatening legal action. For your own protection, you cannot be in this room. This is insane, Ethan shouted. I'm the patient. I decide who treats me. Actually, sir, according to your medical proxy paperwork filed this morning, Victoria Sterling has the right to make medical decisions if you're deemed emotionally compromised. And given your elevated heart rate and agitation, we're invoking that clause. Emma's blood ran cold. What paperwork? Dr. Reeves held up a document. Signed by Mr. Monroe 2 months ago. Giving Ms. Sterling full medical authority in case of incapacitation. I never signed that, Ethan said. This is fraud. The signature has been verified by 3 handwriting experts hired by Monroe Tech's legal team. Emma looked at the document. The signature looked perfect. Too perfect. It's forged, she said. Ethan, who has access to your signatures? Ethan's face went white. My executive assistant. Rebecca. She's worked for me for 5 years. She handles all my paperwork. And who does Rebecca report to? The VP of Operations. Ethan's voice was hollow. Victoria's brother. The pieces fell into place. This wasn't just Victoria acting alone. This was a coordinated attack. A hostile takeover disguised as a love story. They're after your company, Emma said. This whole thing, the engagement lie, the medical proxy. They're going to use your heart attack to declare you unfit. Take control of Monroe Tech while you're vulnerable. Ethan grabbed his phone, but it was too late. The news alert flashed across the screen, Monroe Tech CEO deemed medically unfit. Company board votes emergency leadership change. Victoria Sterling named interim CEO. They had lost. The hospital room felt like a cage. Ethan stared at his phone screen, watching his empire crumble in real time. News outlets were already running stories about his mental breakdown and erratic behavior. Victoria had planted stories everywhere. Leaked photos of his heart attack. Falsified reports from anonymous sources, claiming he'd been unstable for months. "I need to get out of here," Ethan said, ripping off his monitors. "I need to fight this." "Stop." Emma grabbed his arm. "You're going to kill yourself. Then I die fighting. I won't let them win." "Ethan, listen to me." Emma's voice was steady, her doctor training taking over. "Your heart can't handle the stress. If you try to fight this now, you'll have another attack. A fatal one this time. So what do I do? Just give up? Let them take everything?" Emma looked at him for a long moment. Then she made a decision that would change everything. "You let it go." Ethan stared at her. "What?" "Monroe Tech. The money. The power. You let it all go." Emma took his hands in hers. "You said you'd sell it anyway. That I was worth more than all of it. So prove it. Walk away. Right now. Choose life. Choose us." "Emma, that company is worth $3 billion. And you're worth more than that to me." The words hung between them, raw and honest. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who had lost everything because of him. Who had rebuilt herself from nothing. Who had saved his life twice. Who loved him despite every reason not to. "If I walk away, I lose everything. The money. The reputation. The legacy. No." Emma's eyes were fierce. "You lose things. You keep what matters." Ethan's phone rang. His lawyer. He answered on speaker. "Ethan, it's bad. The board has locked you out of all accounts. Victoria has control. But there's still a chance if we fight. We can prove the signature was forged. It'll take months, maybe years, but we can get your company back." Ethan looked at Emma. At her strong hands that had held his heart in surgery. At her eyes that had seen him at his worst and still found something worth loving. At her courage that had survived his cruelty and come out stronger. "No," Ethan said quietly. "What?" "I said no. Let her have it. File the paperwork. I'm stepping down voluntarily. I want full resignation by end of business today." "Ethan, you're not thinking clearly. This is $3 billion. I'm thinking clearly for the first time in years. Do it." He hung up. Emma was crying. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." Ethan pulled her close. "I almost died chasing money and power. I did die, in every way that matters, when I lost you. I'm not making that mistake again." "What will you do?" "I have some savings. Investments that Victoria can't touch. It's not billions, but it's enough. We could open a small clinic. Something simple. You could practice medicine. I could manage the business side. We could actually help people instead of just making money." Emma laughed through her tears. "A clinic? Too boring for you. It's perfect. You're perfect." She kissed him softly. "You're also still my patient. And you need to stay in this hospital for 3 more days. Will you be my doctor?" "No. Dr. Reeves is excellent. But I'll visit every day. As your girlfriend, not your doctor." "Girlfriend sounds good. Though I was thinking maybe fiancé eventually." "Don't push your luck, Monroe." "I have to. I almost lost you twice. I'm not waiting another 3 years to propose. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Chen walked in, looking uncomfortable. Dr. Sullivan, the hospital's legal team has reviewed the situation. Monroe Tech has withdrawn their complaint. And Ms. Sterling has been escorted out by police. Apparently, the forged medical proxy was too blatant. She's facing criminal charges. Emma and Ethan looked at each other and started laughing. After everything, Victoria had destroyed herself with her own greed. There's more, Dr. Chen continued. Mr. Monroe, the hospital board would like to discuss a potential partnership. We understand you're stepping down from Monroe Tech. We'd like to offer you a position on our foundation board. And Dr. Sullivan, we'd like you to head our new cardiac research department. Emma's eyes widened. What? Your work has been exceptional. And Mr. Monroe's very public declaration of stepping down from his company to focus on meaningful healthcare work has inspired our donors. We've received $5 million in new funding just this afternoon. After Dr. Chen left, Ethan and Emma sat in silence, processing everything. So, Ethan said finally. I lost a company. Gained a purpose. Almost died. Fell in love again. And ended up exactly where I needed to be. Was it worth it? Emma asked. Ethan looked at her, this woman who had saved his life in every possible way. Every heartbeat. 3 months later, Ethan was fully recovered. Emma had accepted the department head position. They found a small house overlooking the bay, nothing like the mansion Ethan used to own, but it was home. On their first morning in the new house, Emma found Ethan on the balcony, watching the sunrise. Any regrets? She asked, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Only one. That I didn't choose this 3 years ago. We could have had 3 more years together. Or maybe we needed those 3 years apart. To become people who could appreciate this. Ethan turned and pulled her close. When did you become so wise? When I stopped running from the past and started fighting for the future. He kissed her as the sun rose over San Francisco, painting the sky in gold and pink. 2 broken people who had found their way back to each other through pain, betrayal, sacrifice, and ultimately, choice. They had lost everything. And found everything that mattered. The end.